Hi Ryan,
Hello,
how
everybody.
are you?
Yeah, really good.
We were going to talk about the zodiac a little bit today.
Yeah, the last couple of videos that we've done together, we talked about the mysteries of the tarot, and then we talked about kind of the secrets of the seven planets. And I thought that we should naturally follow on by talking a little about the zodiac.
Mm.
However, I think we can bring all three of these things together through a cool little diagram. Can we show the diagram
Trying
briefly?
to share right now. In a second. Here you go.
Okay, I can't see that, but so it's the ladder of the planets. We can see the wheel of the zodiac around the outside. If we look at right at the top of the center part, we can see the sun and the moon, and Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn at the bottom. And if we go around the outside, we're not going to start what you'd think on a normal clock wheel. We need to go on to the right hand side, count four down, and we'll see the two horns of Aries. And then we're going to go anti-clockwise. So we've got Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. Did you turn into a 70s funk disco song? Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And there we go. There's the end of the zodiac.
It's worth it just for the dance.
Just a little jig there.
Could you just go through that again?
Aries, Taurus, oh yeah, Gemini. I can actually hear the music in my head. It's a really good song. You lot are missing out. So once we've gone through that zodiac and those planets, we can see that there's actually striations across, linking one planet to two of those star signs. This is kind of a key. I think people don't appreciate it. These are called the rulers in astrology. Now, astrology has been going on for a long time, and there are many variations of it, but all those variations come from the same core principles. So it's just like personal taste and things like that. And, you know, whether you ascribe reality to it, the planets moving around and it being indicative of all the energies going through the universe onto the earth. If you want to believe that, fine. If you don't, that's also fine. We're going to consider this from an archetypal polarity kind of psychological view. One thing you should note as well is that all these signs are actually a ladder up the body also. So Aries is the top of the head, Taurus is like the nose and the mouth and the top of the neck. Cancer, Gemini next is the two arms and I think the lungs. Cancer is the ribs and kind of the upper chest area. Leo's the heart, and I think the spine or the spinal cord, something like that. Who's next? Who's next in the disco funk song? Virgo's the belly and the digestive system and the kind of storehouse of your energies in fats and things like that. Cancer's the stomach itself, the actual digestive part of the stomach, and the fluids of the body. And who else have we got? Sorry, I bounced around a bit there, but Libra is the kidneys and the balance and things like that. A few more kind of mental mind plane activities, like, you know, a sense of balance. Yes, it's physical, but it's also kind of a mental thing as well. Balanced mind, balanced health, balanced outgoings, you know, balanced money. You know, it is literally the balance of the scales. And then we got Scorpio, which is like the genitive area and the lower, what's it called, the sacral plexus, that area. Then we go to, who's next? Sagittarius, which is like the hips and the thighs and kind of the movement and the joining area between the two major halves of the body, which are the legs and the torso. You could subdivide that further into the head, but this is all kind of the command center, isn't it, and processing area. Whereas Sagittarius, those hips and thighs are moving you along. Capricorn is the knees and the Yeah, just the knees, the knee, and I think the skeletal system as a whole is attributed to Capricorn, and Aquarius is the lower legs and the calves, kind of the thing that bears the whole rest of the body up. And Pisces are the 2 feet. I like to think of them as, well, they are, Pisces are the soul itself, and the soles of the feet. These 2 feet flapping around.
Interesting, yeah.
One wants to go one way, one wants to go the other. The left and the right of the body, the masculine and feminine within the self and the soul.
So the zodiac is, in a sense, within the human form, but then the human form could be seen to be linking all those constellations.
It's often depicted by a man, often called Adam Kadmon, which is a Kabbalistic conception that the macrocosm is the microcosm, and that there's an Adam down here, you and me, and there's an Adam up there, Adam Kadmon, this kind of macrocosmic Adam, and he sometimes is depicted as being bent backwards around the wheel of the zodiac, with the top of his head at Capricorn and his feet at Pisces, which is cool. So we'll see that come into play somewhat, but that's it's actually quite important to the understanding of the esoteric side of this, because as you just said, it's up there, but it's down here. Well, what's down here is more important to the beings down here, and those are the real secrets of all these things. That up there, but really down here, ultimately in you. These are the mysteries. It's the mysteries of self, of being alive. So at the top of this ladder, which is the exception to the rule, we have 2 different planets, as they were in the ancient world, celestial bodies, the moon and the sun. The moon is like the archetypal feminine, passive, receptive, gestating, transforming, the great container, and really the container of the deeper mysteries, because they're the hidden things and the mysteries are closed. The occult is something that's hidden. Then we got the sun, which is the conscious mind, the opposite of that. So the moon could be seen to symbolize. So I've got a hair that's just tickling the end of my nose. It's still there. Get off it! You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. So we could see the moon as being something of the unconscious and something of the subconscious, which are a shared place. It's something like the shallows next to the beach, and then the depths.
Right.
And we can see that in the moon we wax from a new moon, which is totally black, to a full moon, which is totally white, which would be something like illuminate the unconscious, then being illuminated by the conscious mind, which would be an analogy for the subconscious, because that's literally what it is, isn't it? It's that part of the unconscious which is available to the conscious mind. So we have 2 rulers. So this is the astrological part. They call them rulers. You can see them just as aspects. So that feminine principle is assigned only to Cancer, and that masculine principle is only assigned to Leo. Now all the rest are the polarities, but these are the 2 principal polarities. So we keep with the monos, because think about the words themselves: sol, solo, moon, mono. There's nothing else like them up there. All the rest of the planets, they twinkle in the same fashion. As soon as they get on the opposite side of the sun, they light up. The sun and the moon don't do that. Well, the moon does to some extent, as we just explained, but there you go. Nothing else is like...
They seem equal in size, and then they're associated with the eyes of various gods.
Yeah, the left and the right eye of Horus and all that stuff. So the left and right hemispheres of the brain. The left hemisphere is the logic, masculine, daylight side of the brain that you use to go to work. And then you've got the moon, which is the feminine, creative, poetic, unconscious acting. It has no language. It has only symbolism and art to work with. So it must come through in the subconscious. It will express itself, but it's more of a mystery. It's that feminine mystery.
And these are archetypes, just to be clear. It's not about men and women. These are archetypes inside everyone.
It's dead sexist. No, it is the archetypes. And yeah, and we have them all within us. Women express the feminine more, of course, and men express the masculine more, of course. But we all have them of various quantities, you know. I'm not particularly we were just discussing my fondness for martial arts, but I'm not the martial arts going in a ring, knocking the 7 shades of stuff out of each other. I do a bit of that because it's fun. But it's not that aggression, hyper masculine. It's not that. Everyone's
but
a
then
mess.
you go home and paint a picture.
Sorry.
Then you go home and paint a picture.
Well, yeah, but you have to paint it with your own blood and broken hands.
That's the thought.
So yeah, but I'm an artist. I'm a video maker. I write. I'm something of an intellectual. These are feminine modalities, really. So we all have them in us. We all have them in us. They just express themselves in different ways in different people. And we shouldn't get too caught up in literalizing everything and understand these are base principles of philosophy. And if you are getting upset by such things, then you need to study a bit harder, because the study will naturally relieve you of those anxieties and that fixation on materialism.
Studies look like that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the nonsense that the ancients concocted. Look, everybody out there, the Zodiac is pretty much the archive of psychology and comprehension of the true enough metaphysics of the universe, and it's so helpful. And it's a system that you kind of learn the system itself, and then that helps you deal with life in so many ways, because everything gets simplified into these archetypes. You can get caught up in it as well, of course. There's always dangers to any technology. It's always eating that poison apple. But it's super useful. It's the most useful thing I've ever studied. Like Melissa, having been through university, this is still the most useful thing I've ever studied. I've understood more about myself, people, energy, the mystery, the actual mysteries of the universe, the actual workings of the universe. But you can do simple things like, this is the language of your dreams. This the same things that constructs these symbols are the same archetypes that construct your dreams. I had a dream once, and I think I heard Carl Jung had said something similar. But I had this dream once, and I was in a house, and I was upstairs, and there was loads and loads of activity going on upstairs, and it was like I had no control over it, and there was like too much going on, and I'm like, this is just signs of chaos, and I want to get out, and I want to go downstairs. And I went downstairs, and like I was more relaxed and calm downstairs, but I was still somewhat fearful of all this chaos that was going on upstairs. And then I think there was some kind of a plan made downstairs, and I went upstairs and I told everybody off. I'm not normally like that. I told everybody off, and I'm like, look, we've got to come together. You can't be doing what you're doing, and while she's doing what she's doing, we need to work this out. And then the dream ended kind of there, but you'd imagine that things get so. It's like, well, what's the upper part of the house? Is this? It was muddled up. There was too many people's opinions going in and not my own decision making going on. And if you're trying to please everybody and just let them do what they want to do, they're going to mess everything up. And then over that week, I did exactly that, and not only organized other people's opinions and my own in my head, but then told the other people as well that, look, I really appreciate what you're saying, but you are interfering far too much in what I need to do. And you, as you know, I don't know exactly what's good for you. You don't know exactly what's good for me. So, and this is how you can do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So the stairs are really symbolic, aren't they? And then here you have some steps or a ladder as well. I had a dream the other day with stairs. I kept having to go downstairs.
You went downstairs?
I kept having to go downstairs, yeah, because there was another version of me, like a zombie me. They kept coming upstairs and trying to kill me.
Okay.
And I had to fight for my life every time and push her downstairs. She was identical to me, but then she kept falling down the stairs, and then she'd have broken limbs and bloody face and come back upstairs and try and kill me again. So this went on and on. back upstairs, push her downstairs, back upstairs, push her downstairs. And then finally, I understood that her energy was coming from me. So I went downstairs and I held her.
Cool.
And it all stopped.
Oh, wicked. So I'm going to say that's the myth of the dragon. That's the dragon that lives in the caves underground that hoards the gold. That's that same. And the trouble, they'll keep coming back up because those are your subconscious urges. And that's the uncivilized part of yourself. It is.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's it. And that's what just reminded me because of the steps, going up and down, up and down.
Yeah. And so you've gone into your unconscious. That's your unconscious. That's the grotty, horrible monster that lives down there. You might have made a mistake in just tackling it in that way. I think you need to go and deal with it. And you'll deal with it in a symbolic manner when it happens, but it will be achieved from understanding in the daytime, I would tend to think, and then kind of make a mantra. Understanding, I think, for smarter people makes a mantra of it, which then gets absorbed into the subconscious, and then, that horrible thing can be exercised or otherwise harnessed. Yeah.
Embrace the darkness.
Yeah. Maybe she needs letting out every now and again.
No, she died.
Did she?
At the end, she died.
You murdered her. Hello. If I was my ex-girlfriend, you'd be in trouble now because she used to blame me for dreams that she had. Like, you were horrible in my dream, so I'm going to ring the police on you for having that dream there. Yeah.
Okay. So what about this ladder here that we have on the screen? We're going up and down, or we're going down?
Yeah. So I don't know why. Do you know who Fred Dibnah is?
Yeah, of course, Fred Dibnah.
So
the trains with the cap.
Yeah, with the cap. So Fred Dibnah, everybody out there, is a guy from my hometown of Bolton in northwest England. Local hero. I jumped up and down on his bed when I was a kid. My father was an engineer for a local steel like cutting steel and similar heavy duty jobs. So he used to go down there for a lot of his metals. So my father knew him quite well, I think. But he was a steeplejack. So the northwest of England was very industrial. So there were a lot of chimneys still up when that age had ended. And they get dangerous because they've been up there a long time. So Fred Dibnah was one of the few people that was an expert steeplejack, which is just a cool name for a job. And so he'd get these massive ladders right to the top, like, 20 ladders joined up. And he'd go up there without any real safety, and he's having his cigarette and his pie. And it was brilliant. Yeah. And what a hero. He was such a character. And we talk like this, you get to the top of the chimney, and it's bloody frightening when you look down, but our Dave down at bottom, he's all right there. He knows what I want, and he just sends it up in buckets. There you go. Oh, that's brilliant. That's for everybody out there. That would be my local accent if I'd stuck around and not moved to London.
Yeah, because you have such a London accent.
No, I came back.
Yeah.
Well, look, this is a London accent compared to the actual Bolton accent. Yeah. Well. It's not a London accent at all. I actually got rid of it when I moved to New York because no one knew what the bloody hell I was saying half the time.
Imagine that. Yeah.
It's all right, cock. Like that. And people go, what? What did you call me? Cock. Oh, I meant it nice, like. So anyway, this ladder of planets. It's the Fred Dibnah analogy was good because it's dangerous going up there. It's rarefied the further you travel, kind of down as much as up here. But it's you're trying to ascend to the North Pole. This ladder is to get you to somewhat in the mystery to that firmament layer that is look to the ancients. The world it's stone beneath them. They're in a stone bowl, essentially. Well, it's stone above them as well. They knew it was stone because sometimes the stars fell down and hit the ground. And a lot of the words for sky are the same as they are for stone. Mithras comes to mind, actually. He's born in a cave from a stone that looks like a cloud. And later on in his life, he fires an arrow at a cloud stone that when he hits the stone, water comes out of it. and it looks like a cloud. It's a mixed up things for the ancient. I think if you look at the etymology for a lot of the words for sky, it's similar to something that's sharp, like a stone, or it's weird.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just thinking in German, the words for star and stone are quite close. Even in English, they're not that far.
Even in English, now you just said it.
Yeah.
Well, they're Saturnian words. The
the
ST
ST
words.
Yes.
Yeah, ST, stick, stuck, stop, stay. Stationary. Loads of them. It's weird, isn't it? STR is another one. STR, that's the old name for Saturn in, like, I think it's Babylon, somewhere near there. Acadia, Syria, somewhere like that. Anyway, so let's do this ladder of planets, which is, look, those places are the place where these things are first kind of formulated and brought into consciousness for history. I think most people that deal with this stuff believe it comes from at least the early Stone Age. So, and they're just kind of written down in more modern times.
Yeah.
However, we've done these two poles at the top. We should discuss how the moon is Cancer and the sun is Leo, embodied somewhat. So the moon is Cancer. Cancer is the feminine motherly principle. She's somewhat devouring and gestating what she devours and she transforms it. Hence the actual disease Cancer, because of its devouring aspect and transforming it into something else, literally why it's called that. This crab, hard shell on the outside, bit of a bitch, soft on the inside. She's protecting that gooey center. It's this mother principle again. Don't mess with somebody's mum. They are the reason why they're so crabby. Again, same word. It's because they're so soft, and because they are vulnerable. So you get this kind of a yappy dog, a snappy clog, stay back, and then hide away and scuttle off sideways. Somewhat amphibious, that they are things of the water, very much guided by the moon. Crabs. I mean, if there's an animal out there guided by the moon, it's crabs. Maybe jellyfish next. Lots of crustaceans, actually. Lots of arthropods and mussels and clams and things like that. So these motherly things. So very much to do with fluids and the subconscious again. Where do crabs live? They live on the shoreline. Obviously there are deep sea crabs, but that's not where the ancients were seen, and they're seeing them on the shoreline. And they live in rock pools, and that's where you see them. So it's this subconscious thing.
Place.
Yeah. And so ladies are like that. They're much more poetic. They're much more creative and artistic than the average man. They are more inclined to explain themselves poetically. Like you ask a man, where are you going this afternoon? And he say, I've got to go to, the coal mine at 5 o'clock and meet Dave for a pint. There you go. It's done, said, and he's gone out the door. So he's like, well, I've got to put my makeup on. I've got to get, and she'll tell you the story rather than the actual time, which is much better for ladies' social interaction. They are, there's emotion involved with it. Instead, it's a story rather than information. The left and right hemispheres of the brain again here, masculine and feminine archetypes. Plus, we've got fluids and digestion and generation, and she'd probably be a bit plump, Cancer, if she was personified. She'd be a slightly tubby mummy, very active and very proactive, but look, kind of out doing her stuff, and then suddenly exhausted, and loves, milkshake. It's the idea, it's milks and nourishment and devouring and pleasure and comfort and these feminine receptive qualities. Mothering is that, isn't it? When you go to mum, it's like, oh yeah, the archetypal mum. Oh, you get a big. Do you remember what was that one where it was Ronnie Barker and Del Boy? What's it called? What's it called?
So,
Open All Hours.
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember the nurse,
Yeah.
the big booby nurse, and he go, oh, like that? Well, that's, I mean, it was slightly sexualized, but that's that mummy feeling, you know. The big lady, she's a nurse, you know. She looks after people. She got a big heart, and you know, always a victim. Come here, little love.
So she's
like
Cancer.
She's absolutely Cancer. Being a nurse would be a typical Cancerian job. It's at night, often weird shifts, you know. They're a bit wild, nurses. You hear a lot of stories about nurses, and but they do it for the best reasons, and the nature is that way. So let's flip to Leo now.
Okay.
So in much of a way, we could talk about that was the subconscious, the archetype of the subconscious coming out. So now this one's the conscious mind. This is about the center, is that symbol itself, whereas the moon suggests the spectrum of states between the unconscious and the subconscious. This is just the conscious, and it beams out from that central point. And because it's got a central point, there's it's an infinite point within a confined space. The circumpunct, a dot with a circle around the outside. And so that's much like the center of self, the soul, the middle, the thing that the pole emanates from or to.
Right.
It's the radiance of the sun as it fuses those molecules together at its center, and then they radiate out and they light everything up and they allow activity. This is my energy. I'm shining it forth. I am me. I am. It's very much linked to the ego, but not the kind of ego you know. I am fantastic. No, that's more Mars. Maybe a little bit of Venus causes that, but that's Mars. This is more like that. I am alive. I am. It's not even I have anything. I am. And by that virtue, things shine out and activate the world. You know, it's like observation collapses the quantum waveform into reality from that superposition, if you know quantum physics. Basically, all reality is a big jumble of nothing. It might be here, it might be there, but then when you get an observer, everything collapses. The waveform collapses, the mathematics happens, and then we get the observable universe. Well, the universe kind of likes you doing that. Obviously, else that wouldn't be the situation. So it's the virtue of being an individual, a soul. The sun. I am the sun. You are the sun. We're all suns. And so Leo is that primitive force that ejects from you and as much lights things as it does burn things and consumes them.
Yeah.
My I am is naturally in competition with your I am. It's also in combination and in cooperation. But is it millenarianism, where my liberties extend as far as your liberties extend, and we need to come to some kind of compromise where those two fields meet? It's that kind of an idea, but like this, now we're talking about the lion. So the lion with the most strength or force. We're seeing a link to the tarot maybe now, if we know the tarot. The la force in French, or strength in English, or sometimes lust, or libido would be another thing. Not, yes, sexual, but it's not just sexual. What is libido? It's lust for life. It's lust for life. And that's this shining out. But it will devour. It might devour a book. Fine, that's great. But it might also devour for good. We need to go to war. My lion needs to come out now, and I need to go and mess everybody up to save everybody. So, you know, and there's you can base, as with the crab, you can just look to the lion and see how the lion behaves. He marks his territory. He's not necessarily going out getting the food, but he is making sure there's a catchment area where that food belongs to that pride. He's fighting against other young upstarts in that dominion. He's very much like the Emperor in the tarot as well. Within that dominion, he's literally, he is the one that puts his life on the line, because the other lions will devour him. The lionesses don't have that happen. They just get taken over. They're a genetic, they're a resource for the genes. Because really, we're talking about that principle. It's almost the genes doing it. You can't blame the male or the female lion. That's silly. This is what the genes need to do to achieve a similar dominance, a similar devouring, that their genes aren't eliminated and they survive on. How does that happen? Well, it's survival of the fittest. It's strength. It's this lust for life and ability to devour.
That reminds me of that book that's had a lot of controversy, The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins.
I was thinking of Richard Dawkins. Yeah.
I think it's the controversy is more about his materialism, because to be honest, that makes total sense that the genes or the carriers of the genes would want to perpetuate themselves. But I think that the problem people have is that there isn't any room for religion or for, anything beyond the material world. But
we see animals helping each other in nature. We see that all the time. You might see a cat help a bird out of the water. Just, interspecies, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Possibly because there's a level of sun in even the lower life forms. The sun is in that kind of consciousness and not just the moon. You can see that cats are very lunar. The whole operation's feminine and lunar. If you know the small cats, not the big ones. What we're talking about then, I've totally lost track. There's a lot of noise going on outside.
Selfish gene?
Yeah, the selfish gene. But altruism can be selfish as well. You can be altruistic, if you know what I mean. I know that's an oxymoron, but if you can help people that also helps you.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's both, and we've observed both. And the whole point in all this is it both.
Yeah.
It's always both.
There, definitely. And then do you think that could then give us a new way of thinking about consciousness, or a new way, an old way? Because you were saying about how the sun is all about the individual and your territory, and the center is within you. And then you could say maybe that the subconscious is about the moon, and maybe connecting up to some greater sort of consciousness that links all creatures. But it's not specific to maybe one particular being then. It's that type of consciousness where you can connect to other people telepathically, that kind of thing. Do you think that maybe you could divide it up like that?
I do. Yeah, I think this system is that division. And it's not even complicated. I think it is that at the bottom of it is masculine and feminine. I think it's just as simple as that. At the bottom of thought, there's look, at the bottom of all operations is the active and receptive principles. It's true for anything you do. God, it's so true for everything. Look, I have the thought, I picked this up. I had a masculine impulse and then a feminine impulse, and then I picked up, I'm the masculine, I'm the subject, this is the object, that's the feminine, and then I fire the electricity, the masculine, and it's received by the neuron, the nerve endings, the feminine. My muscles become the feminine to the it's all the time in all principles.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it be at the bottom of consciousness as well? Why it's at the bottom of electricity? It's at the bottom of weather systems, positive to negative pressure systems.
Yeah.
It's just true for everything, and you can, will I or won't I? Will I would be masculine, won't I would be feminine. You can. But
then maybe we forget sometimes. Maybe we forget there's a duality. Sometimes we're only aware of one side, and we forget that maybe there is a flip side to that thing. So, for example, to go back to consciousness today, people in neuroscience are basically focusing on maybe what you might call the part of consciousness that's associated with the sun and the lion and Leo.
Yeah.
and not the other side. You know, they're completely ignoring that.
Yes, probably because it's more hard to put your finger on from
It's
its
not
nature.
a scientific object, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's very hard to study.
Yeah, whereas really the logic brain is kind of everything's maths all the time. It's ratios and you know, strategies which are basically ratios. Again, I've got 50% chance of it succeeding, 20% chance of it failing, 30% chance of it, you know, causing World War III. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you get me.
Sure. So the left side of the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere is inside the brain. Would you say that they match the moon and the sun, or that they're both maybe on both sides at the same
they're
time?
Literally, they perfectly match those two principles.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course, they're generated by humans. This is a human system.
Mm-hmm.
These are really ineffable things. We can put them into art and symbol. We'd like to put them in symbol because the kind of ungraspable, really, and it's easier to talk about things by the system of noticing one thing compared to its opposite, and then we can talk about those two polarities. But to write about, you know, what that sun is would take multiple volumes, even though you could put it in one sentence at the same time and say it's the active principle. Sometimes we call it masculine or the sun. So here we go. Just before the show, we talked about the feminine made bad, the masculine made bad, as in a toxic version of those things. Feminine is the archetype of the feminine, the unconscious, is water. So what would bad water be? Well, it would be poisoned water. Mm-hmm. And so ladies, when charged negatively, engage in social assassination, they poison the waters, and character assassination. Men, the archetype's fire. Fire burns. It damages, literally physically damages. Violence. Men engage with violence and anger and the fiery passions, you know. It's rather and we have words. He's a fiery one, that guy. He's fiery, and you know exactly what they mean. Oh, she's all wet, don't worry about her. He's airy fairy. Oh, he's all heads in the clouds. You know, these intellect, it's all intellectual, nothing to ground them. Yeah. Salt of the earth. They're all, you know, those archetypes, and they're so archetypal, they naturally are produced in our language in the way that we talk. You know exactly what that means, even though you've only been delivered the symbol. Yeah. Shall we move on to Mercury? We've actually briefly discussed. Yeah, we've briefly discussed Mercury last time. So Mercury is symbolic of air, which is the intellect. Kind of androgynous. The air's made up of the sun and the moon. They come together, they have a little baby. Well, if we're taking fire and water together, they kind of make steam. That's the idea. And so you get the air, which is this volatile, moving about, hard to kind of grasp. You can't really see it. You can see its effects when it blows those clouds and blows things over, but it also wraps around things and penetrates things and moves into things. It's the intellect. What is the intellect? It's the communication between the sun, the archetypes of the sun and the moon. It's saying subject, object, or this thing, that thing, or I am this, I am not. And this, by comparing and contrasting, that communicative bridge, which is a kind of sexual intercourse, hence Mercury's androgynousness. That's how the intellect operates. It's only ever comparison of one thing to another. That's why a lot of your thoughts, when you start thinking, you get depressed, because thoughts are problem solving. You don't go to the beach and start thinking. You go, oh, you might say it's so beautiful here, isn't it? But it's a deep feeling, and it's in your breath, and it's in your bones, and it's in you're not going, oh, that water's a nice shade of blue, and the way that it rolls up, it's quite fast today. It must be a low tide. You're not thinking those things. You're just taking in that beauty. So it's somewhat negatively charged, Mercury, somewhat.
Right.
However, two sides of that are, and this is what I love this ladder. So one side is Mercury. One side of Mercury is Gemini, which is exterior communication to some extent. Always kind of coming through a surface layer with Mercury because he's always going into the underworld and coming back out again. He's the messenger, the delivery boy, the communicator. So it's like a subsurface to the outside, Gemini. I'm a Gemini. We're good at communicating generally and talking to people, and things come out of our mouth quickly. A lot of Gemini.
Yeah.
A lot of Gemini rappers. I used to be a rapper, by the way. That's why I lived in New York. I was like a producer and a rapper. So hence having to change my accent because nobody knew what I was saying. So yeah, there's that Gemini, and then we've got Virgo, which is I call the librarian, and it's that inner sorting through the inner archives, analysing things, the literal comparing of one thing to another, very logical and conservative kind of in a strange way. Everything must be sold because that's the one that's archiving everything and fetching it interior. So you got this interior communication, intellect, exterior intellect, which tends to be debate.
That's duality.
Yes. Gemini is a double duality because it's two little boys, you know. Again, we've got this kind of androgynousness in children that are generally quite androgynous, really. One's forever dying and one's forever living. One's immortal, one's mortal, and there's a swappage that goes on there, and the immortal one gives something of his power half the time to one, and they kind of swap over. It's this compromise between the two, and all that is that one part of you looks one way towards immortal, big, highfalutin things, and the other half of you is looking inwards towards more material things. It's the span of those dualities and the playfulness between those two, intellectually speaking, is two kids. And I know when I get around a lot of people, they're like, oh, bloody hell, calm down. Not calm down, as in I'm getting highly spirited. But I'm always playing about and messing about. And, you know, it's often like being around two kids with me. And I'll be full of energy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'll be full of energy. And then I'll be like, oh, I can't be bothered. And I love people. But after a short time, I've had enough and I'll go home and spend some time on my own.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So,
and I'm also thinking about what you're saying here about Gemini and about the two people. You could say the two halves of the year. So coming up to the summer solstice and going back around to the winter solstice. And then you have Jesus on the 24th of December and St. John the Baptist on the 24th of June.
Yeah, June is literally that cusp between June and between Gemini and Cancer is the middle of the year. That's where it is. So on the day, so half of it is ever living, immortal. I'm rising, I am rising, I am rising. I will live forever. And then the other one's oh shit, we're going down. It is that fantastic. Love it. So shall we move down along the ladder to Venus? So
do you have nice things to say about Venus?
I can do that Bananarama song if you're willing to do it with me. Do you remember it?
You do it on your own. She's got
I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. I don't remember the words. So Venus is kind of the noticing of deficit in yourself. So it's like, I need something to eat. I need the comfort of the opposite sex. I need some entertainment. I need some comfort. One side of this is Taurus. The other side is Libra.
Yeah.
Taurus. And obviously it's the feminine. Venus is like the feminine principle, more embodied on the earth. It's not highfalutin like the moon. It's down here on the earth. It's seen always with the masculine. It's always bound up there with Mars, whether they're chasing each other around, getting kissy-wissy with each other, or angry with each other. They're always involved. wishy-wishy. I've been around children
We understood.
for a few days ago, so.
Okay. Oh, that sounds so bad in that context. Sorry, Ryan.
My heart is pure. So we've got Taurus there on one side. Taurus is the motto of Taurus is "I have," and Taurus is about all the kind of as the feminine's a cup. It's an embodiment of lots of masculine power and force into a thing, which makes it beautiful and desirable. A nicer car is more desirable than a rubbish car. A nicer house is more desirable than a rubbish house.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the status of the desire and that desire object, that's what invokes beauty. If something's very desirable to me, it's beautiful to me.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally the how that works.
Yeah. So
Taurus is I have. So if you think back in the day, a bull was so expensive and a symbol of your power, and therefore a desirable, beautiful object, and it contains the most. It's basically ancient gold bars and a car. You take that bull out to market, and everyone's like, "Ooh, look at that bull!" You know, all the girls go, "Oh."
Apologies.
Hi, Mom. So so it's that beautiful thing that I have, that desire object filled with that masculine power, that Mars power, that if you yoke it, it will plow your fields. If you kill it, you can eat and it'd be delicious. You know, it's all these things. Obviously, really, it's about multiplication and the fact that you can mate it with the rest of the herd. I was going to say, what's the word for a female cow? It's a cow.
Do you know what? I'm talking about words. Stephanie McPeak-Peterson, got a really good YouTube channel for anyone watching. She mentioned in a recent video that the word capital comes from the heads of the cattle. So you'd be counting your wealth in terms of the heads of cows that you had in your herd, which is really amazing. Yeah,
well, the word Capricorn and kneecap is the same. Is the same idea. Capricorn's at the bottom, but it's this horned head thing that's got to head all the way back up to the top again. That's why it's a mountain climber that comes from it's got a fishy tail, come from the depths, go back to the top again, potentially. So that's the I have. On the opposite side of Venus, this desire principle. I mean, Venus means desire. That's what it means. Libra. So Libra is this balancing function. Should I, shouldn't I? On balance, this is stacked against me. This is, for me. Or 20 of these is the same weight as 10 of those. How can I balance these things?
Yeah.
So Venus, rather than going crazy and going, oh, the nicest champagne, oh, the most socially acceptable friends, and they're all vague and vapid and into money, and she doesn't even like that champagne. She's just drinking it because it's expensive. So those are desire objects for vain reasons. If we look at Libra's the one that balances it out. Libra's the one that's measuring one thing against the other so that Venus can actually make those good decisions. So we've got this beautiful. And then when I looked into that and desire and things like, there's nothing else about it that's not contained within those two symbols. I literally couldn't fathom anything else. And what we've got is Venus as the center, think about the scales again. Venus is the center, and then you've got Libra on one side and Taurus on the other, which shows you the two extremes of this spectrum, the masculine and feminine of it, as it were. And then we can figure out the spectrum between it. So there's the whole of psychology in this by inference, by design. And look how simple it is on that map that I showed before, that I keep pointing to over here, by the way.
It's still on the screen, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, I can always take it off, actually.
I can't see it.
It's fine. I'll take
Are we
it off
back?
so we can see you. Yeah.
Yeah, well. So, without going too deep into it, let's talk a little bit about Libra. I feel bad about Libra. Libra is Libra's an air sign. Taurus was an earth sign. It feels right that it's an earth sign, that it's all this power embodied into something very tangible, very marketable, very the utility of a bull, from its bones to its marrow to its horns to its skin to its flesh to its sperm to its, even its willy would have been used in China, dried out and used as a medicine, not to mention the work that it can do and the multiplication it can have to bring you more wealth. Libra is an air sign, which again, we're talking about the intellect. Again, we're talking about the two sides of things. So that principle that we just mentioning a moment ago about balancing these two sides is literally in that justice principle of Libra, that we must balance these things. Libra is the evening of the zodiac. It's in the autumn. It's in the evening of the day. We start off at 6 o'clock with Aries. By the time we've got to Libra, the opposite of Aries, it's the end of the day. And the evening of the sun and the moon. What's the symbol for Libra? It's the sun on the horizon. It's that omega loop with a line under it. It's the sun passing down into the evening. The evening of sun and of daylight and midnight. So by that balance, that on its own is an explanation of how your brain's trying to work and how you must philosophically kind of balance the accounts at the end of the day. Did I work hard enough? Did I play hard enough? Does everything work out? Because you get to that part of the year in Libra, when it's the autumn and you've already made the summer harvest in Virgo past, the next one on is Libra. Now we've got 6 silos of grain. That'll get us through the winter. Unfortunately, though, we only have half a silo of grain to sell. So there'll be no new shoes come spring. If you get me. It's this balance, the accounting, as it were.
Balancing the books. And do you know what I'm having to do every time? Because one minute I'm talking, you're talking about, the year and the motion of the sun, and the keep thinking about these signs as they appear in the sky, and then I keep having to bring it back to the human, to the person and inside you. So that's that balance as well that I keep having to do. That I keep forgetting about the fact that it's supposed to be also in here.
It's that hermetic alchemical axiom. As above, so below. And you could say the actual first line of that is the macrocosm is similar to the microcosm. The microcosm is similar to the macrocosm, is the real statement that's there.
And the center is the same distance from everyone.
From everyone. You're all the center of the universe. So there's an alibi to be selfish, everybody.
Or the opposite.
Well, yeah, because then you must recognize that so is everybody else. So let's move on down. We've moved to Mars, which we've kind of briefly discussed before. Mars is the masculine archetype on the Earth, bound up with Venus, where she's kind of saying, yes, I need, I don't have. He's saying, I've already got, everything will suffice. We're going to have to buckle down. We're going to have to go to war. We're going to have to be brave. We're going to have to say no. And no often takes more strength than saying yes. A lot more often. So Mars is the one that realizes that because of that masculine principle above in the sun, in that lion, as it were, that there are other lions, and each of those lions is a sun, and they have a will of their own. Absolutely bound up with willpower is Mars. They have a will of their own, and it's your willpower again, that life force in you. It's particularly expressive of the life force Mars. It's particularly seen now. It's very bound up with the concept of the life force. It's almost its most prominent because it needs to go to battle with the other centers of the universe that also contain a life force.
But then there's a contradiction, because in the battle, death happens.
Yeah, well, it happens all the time.
No, yeah.
There's one donut left. There's one donut left on a plate. I want that donut. You want that donut. There's a death there. I don't get the donut because you're a lady, and you go, oh, but Ryan, and you do that thing with your eyelids, and I go, oh, Melissa, take the donut. Take the donut. Enjoy it. Here.
That reminds me of the last Rolo ad.
Yeah, there's that kind of thing. Melissa, you manipulated me so well by the flutter of your eyelids. Take the donuts.
I hate donuts. You can have the donut.
I don't want the donut. You're trying to make me fat.
Now no one wants it.
Nobody wants the donut now. It's been tarnished. So we've got the two sides of being alive and having the energy to be alive, and that energy that makes you have the willpower and the bravery to go and battle those other centers of the universe, those other suns that are shining out. So we have the power of the first zodiac sign, which is Aries, which is that spring lamb that goes, I'm alive, and everything's fantastic, and just the joy and natural energy that comes with being alive and seeing the sunrise and all these wonderful things. Excuse me?
You just feel good.
You just feel good for being alive. So, and that's the power of youthfulness. When you get old, you don't feel that so much. Like, oh, it hurts when I wake up in the morning. It takes me till midday to activate, and then I'm sleepy by 4 o'clock. So there's that vitality of youth, which is in that spring lamb of Aries, the first sign, the dawn, the beginning of the day, the first sun. Those first beautiful rays that are so gorgeous and activating, which they are. They are. Scorpio on the other side. So Aries is the top of the head. I haven't really talked about how these things go with the body, but maybe we'll go over that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go over that in a minute as one. So Scorpio, we'd say Aries, top of the head, kind of the brain functions, and the fact that everything wakes up and higher consciousness, mammalian consciousness, not higher consciousness, mammalian consciousness in general.
Okay.
The newer brains and the primate consciousness, and if you get me, the bull consciousness, which is the lower brain and the brain stem, is down here. The insect consciousness, that just procreation, get up, go and do things, that's down there. That's in the genitals. That's just the life force continuing. And there's that whole mix-up between sex and death, and the scorpion stings, and the idea that if you follow those very primitive urges, well, look, there's Scorpio's the only sign with 3 symbols attached to it, which are the scorpion, the serpent of Ophiuchus, serpent's kaput, not kaput. What's the tail one? Cauda. Yeah, that's right. Serpent's cauda, and then Aquila over the top as the eagle. Now, they conflate that sometimes with the phoenix, and I'm pretty sure the phoenix in all countries is really Cygnus, the swan. The swan when you look at the myths in this part, the actual west of the world, not other side of the Mediterranean, the swan has the same position and myths as the phoenix, essentially. They think the ugly duckling that turns from an ugly thing into a beautiful, that is the tale of Cygnus.
Yeah.
And then so too for the phoenix, it rebirths itself. It's this rebirth.
I've never made that connection. That's so mad about Cygnus and the ugly duckling. How did I never make that connection?
And I think the dark rift, which is Cygnus, is just above it. The dark rift's like that.
Right.
So it's these 2 bits are a nebula, or not nebula, the stars. It's the Milky Way.
Gap in the Milky Way.
They look nebulous, and then the dark rift's this like black patch here. I think the Eye of Horus is somewhat that, a lot of things point to it, and I think it might be the Bennu stone, the top of the pyramid, the sharper part. Don't
Which
think
is
the pyramid
pyramid.
shape, just think of a pyramid. You know,
Yeah.
the pyramid's got a very particular angle.
Mm.
Everybody out there, really, the pyramids are lots of different angles. But the Bennu, on the top of a Bennu, it sharpens off even more. So I think the Bennu stone might be that. The Bennu stone's a generative area of kind of chaos coming through the masculine principle. It would belong to go into, but I'll chat to you about it. Or if anybody else wants to come to the Jedi Academy Discord server, you'll find a link at the top that Melissa's going to kindly put on there, and we can talk about the Bennu stone. Not to mention that the word for a phoenix I discovered in Hebrew is related to both the processional harmonic numbers and, as you told me when I put the number up, I forget the word for the Hebrew phoenix. It's not a pretty word, I remember that. And when I did the gematria on it, I said, well, I put these two numbers together and multiplied them, and you said, oh, that's exactly the megalithic yard in meters. I was like, what?
Oh, right. Okay, so 89244, would that be right?
I can't. You're the number genius.
I can't even remember what the word was, but wow.
I can look it up quickly if you want. Hebrew phoenix, which means purple, by the way. Chol.
Sure. Okay.
And if you look, oh no, I deleted Project Flying Donkey, didn't I? I'll look it up. I've written it down in my book, so I will repost it, and you can have a look at that.
Okay.
So, Scorpio is the generative area, and that is the other thing that makes you live. The possibility for immortality through your genes. Mm-hmm. And that Scorpio is the death card. Scorpio is the death of the year. We've just gone through the evening of Libra, and now we're going into the actual night of Scorpio, which is the death, the kiss of death. You get the kiss of death from actually Judas Iscariot, who is Scorpio of the 12 apostles, the 12 signs of the Zodiac. He kisses Jesus on the neck and gives him the kiss of death. When a scorpion stings you, it swells up like two lips, and that's why they call it the kiss of death.
I had no idea of all those connections. So first of all, the kiss of death.
Yeah.
The Scorpio. Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah. You got to think as well. A lot of the drugs that are evident in the Bible are through Judas, and that it's an ancient custom to smoke scorpions. In fact, they still do it now. When they run out of heroin in Pakistan and places like that, in Afghanistan, they all start smoking scorpions. You can look it up on I'm sure Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia has got it on there somewhere. So intoxicants, absolutely. There's a bit of an intoxicant related to every zodiac sign.
Oh, right. So like a different one for...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the 2 signs on from this, 3 signs on in Aquarius, that is ambrosia. That's the ambrosial nectar. He's the cupbearer for Zeus. So, and the next sign on, Sagittarius, he's a drunkard. He's a drunken satyr.
Didn't Zeus pretend to be a cupbearer when he first went to the palace to topple his father? Didn't he pretend to be a cupbearer in the palace? I think he might have done.
Zeus, isn't it quite? I remember the myth being quite cosmic, and quite they're not giving like, because he's when he kills his father, he's not very old, I don't think.
No, he's just come from the island, where he's been looked after by the nymphs or something. I forget the name.
Yeah, and that goat of Auriga, that has the cornucopia on it, another drugs reference.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. We can go in. We can go into this.
Okay. Let's go back to the letter.
Yeah. So, where are we? So there's Mars, and I've shown the 2. We were saying that Mars is involved with death, and then we said those 3 extra signs the 3 signs that make up Scorpio.
Right.
Well, that is the we talked about last week with Adam and Eve and the Western tradition, and in fact the Eastern esoteric tradition, and that is hermetically seal yourself off. One of the greatest leakages of the life force in humans is in men particularly, is orgasm. So you seal yourself off. Scorpio is that generative area sealed off. In the serpent and then in the phoenix, it's that same energy put to good uses, resurrected and transformed up the spine, which is the Milky Way. And we know it.
It's back and forth between the body and the stars.
It's that they are telling us down here by their position. And again, that position isn't actually a wheel, it's a sine wave that then loops back again. Okay. There's a top and a bottom. And that we are able to judge, like with Mercury being in the middle of the week. Knowing where the two ends are, we can fathom the center, and then everything else becomes apparent. This is the basis of all these systems. That's it, as simple as that. And from that, you can extract as I say, the 10,000 things. Everything comes from those base principles, all of them. From, I was talking to Shan Beast last night about Gurdjieff's fourth way and the Enneagram. That's the same thing. There's an upper limit, a lower limit, and then a median between it.
Yeah.
It's the same for all of this stuff. The tarot, there's the beginning and the fool. A median in the, what's she called? Justice card, which again is the evening of Libra. And then the ending in the world card, the completion. But then that's something of a cycle, and again, you go around again. So anyway, sex, death. The French say le petit mort, the small death, that dissolution that you get at the end of orgasm when you get that release. And if you can kind of meditate at those points, you see automatically you're somewhat obliterated. And I can say that as a bloke. I don't know what goes on in a lady's head. Probably give me more. So I say these things to be cheeky, everybody. I don't particularly mean it. I just like winding people up, get a reaction. So next we are on. I was talking about death. Basically, sex is prevention against death, as we said before. So these things are bound up. The Scorpio card is the death card in tarot, and you'll see on a lot of the death cards. If you look at the older ones, you'll notice that his hips and his waist are tied off at the sacral plexus, which leads to that Scorpio, and at the end of the spine is that the coccyx is the sting of the scorpion. You'll see in the medieval tarot cards, his spine, now I've said it, his spine is somewhat tied off and his spine is prominent.
Okay.
And he's often, if not carrying the scythe of Saturn, being death, he's carrying a gravedigger's spade. What shape's a gravedigger's spade? It's the spine with the coccyx at the end of it.
Okay.
Esoterica.
Just burned my mind for about the 5th time.
Good. Good. It's my favourite thing, to be quite frank. It is. I love
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, when I watch these things back later on, I like watching people's face. Again, my favourite is Phil. Phil, if you're watching this, you are my absolute favourite mind to blow. Because he goes,
I know, laugh. I love it.
I love Phil to bits.
Yeah.
I'm going to see him soon, actually. I'm going doing the Easter. I'm going to show them Project Flying Donkey this Easter, because it was all bound up with. Yeah. So moving down, we go to Jupiter. Jupiter is, you can see it as fate, but really it's the higher mind. It's the higher order of things. It's the order of the universe that you can't really do anything about. And actually, if you could aim for that higher order, which is based on the combination of archetypes of those founding principles, i.e. the weather, it's the weather. The astrology, fate, the actual weather, the human trends and behaviors and seasonal behaviors and things like that. Well, these are all a higher order of things from archetypal principles that you just see down here. Hence the weather. He's the weather god, Thor, Jupiter. The sky, the thing that we're all bound under, you know, and go to any country, but it's always the one god above us, the sky god. That's why Jehovah, Jupiter, Zeus, they're all the one god. They're all the Lord, because we're all under the same sky. I think that's quite clever. Again, these are all irreducible principles, and if you can just interrogate what the symbol suggests. If it's a wolf, ask yourself what a wolf does. If it's a panda bear, ask yourself what a panda bear does. Really investigate not only what we know it to do now, but what the ancients thought of it. Some silly thing, you know. They said panda bears can fold the skin inside out and look like polar bears, and then maybe they brush it this way and the fur goes back. Just some stupid stuff. They used to say lions went to sleep without closing their eyes, for example. You know, that's not true. But what does that mean? What are they inferring about the lion from that? That's what you have to do. Interrogate it. What does an eagle do? It flies high. It flies above. It has a vantage point. It's a raptor. It's predatorial. It can aim, pick you up. It flies high. It's a high principle. Oh, Jupiter's an eagle. You know, it all comes together.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of thinking of a reverse butterfly effect. So from the storm in Australia, you go back to the flapping of the wings or the butterfly in Mexico or whatever. And then from there, you get to an even smaller point, which is like the little circle the little dot inside the circle.
What's that journey called? Which God? That's the Logos. That fact, that's the word of God. That's a Mercurial. That's like a fantastic. Mercury is somewhat the lower mind, the intellect itself. Jupiter's the higher mind. They're kind of a reflection of each other. Mm. The higher mind is based on archetypes and is the archetypes themselves and the way they function together. The lower mind is the result of binding those archetypes together, hence Mercury, the intellect. I had something profound to say and I've totally lost my track. If I carry on, it might come back.
Mercury.
Yeah, no, it was Mercury being the lower mind, kind of the lower intellect. Jupiter's the higher intellect. Really, that's when the people say the holy guardian angel, it's in us. It's appreciating the archetypes and the kind of alchemy that you can do when you can understand those archetypes and see how they function. What astrologers were trying to do was to look at these archetypes and try and strategize with them. Mm-hmm. So they're not caught up in the mess of I'll call it spectrum thinking, where you're caught up just in the spectrum and you can't make head and the tails of it because you don't know where the beginning was and you can't see the end. You can't see those masculine and feminine. You don't realize that. But when you tune into that higher mind and you can see that those principles are activated, you can see that, oh, wait a minute, there's a deficit of something and a surplus of something in another area. Those things are air particles. Then it moves from the high pressure area because there's more there and it naturally, like a liquid would in fluid dynamics, move to that low pressure area. Of course it does. So, you know, it's not just, oh, what's the weather going to do? Oh, it is blowing this way. It's high pressure there now, low pressure there now. In 20 minutes or so, we can know from that archetypal form that this is going to happen. There you go. It's science. Science means to see. What does wizard mean? Wizards had the archetypes. That's really the foundation of all their knowledge. We know that because whenever you look at these systems, they're always based on the masculine and feminine. Always. Yin yang, the druid stuff, the snake and the tree, masculine and feminine symbols again. Androgynous maybe. Jesus on the cross is the masculine, Mary with the baby is the feminine. Mm-hmm. So moving on to Jupiter. So two parts of that now. So you got the higher mind utilized by Sagittarius is the philosopher. He's very much full of energy and he's trying to understand everything and then carry it out and kind of he's a teacher. He teaches Zeus. You know, he teaches Mercury. He teaches Dionysus as well. I think he's basically the tutor of the gods, but he's a drunken lech. You know, he knows all these great things, but he's of the earth as well. So you got these two halves that are always kind of fighting against each other. It's you and your dragon zombie person downstairs. You know, it's that same principle.
Or Prometheus, right? Going up and down.
Prometheus.
I mean, like traveling between the world of the gods and this world here, and
You
with
mean
the
Orpheus?
fire. No, Prometheus.
When did Prometheus do that?
He stole the fire.
Did he not just because he's a Titan, Prometheus? Did he steal it? So it wasn't his. I didn't think about it like that. I always figured it was his.
I think he stole it to give it.
I think they considered it stolen. I'll have to look back into that. I didn't think about it in that way.
I don't know.
I know they say stealing, but I always kind of thought the stealing was. Didn't he give it to Deo Callion or whoever it was? He gives it to somebody. I figured that was the stealing part.
Yeah. Well.
No, you're right. I take it. You know, I'm saying I hadn't thought about it like that.
And you know the way you're going to think about the rib.
Yeah.
Rib. If you could just think about Prometheus's kidney or liver, which is it, the kidney or the liver?
So the liver regenerates itself, and the liver was seen as the control system for the body. Because it is the chemical center. It's the part of the body that produces most of the hormones, most of the chemicals, and regulates everything. And in fact, is the first station in the elimination process as well. And it is the only organ in the body that regenerates itself. So he's somewhat the phoenix.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
In his effect, within the effects that he's got, first of all, he's tied up to a stone, which is an immortal thing. Stones don't change to time in the ancient conception. They don't change the time. So he's bound to this immortal thing. You see stones a lot bound up with things like alchemy, and Jupiter as well was the effigy of Jupiter was a stone when it was fed to Saturn to stop it beating everybody. Stones weren't just gems or actual rocks for building things. Stones might be minerals or a compound that you've made that comes out as a little stone, and you grind up with a pestle and mortar, hence a drug. In the word narcotic comes from a tube. I forgot, is it reed or something like that? A special tube that Prometheus had that kept his shamanic drugs in there. And it's literally, the word for that tube is where we get our word for narcotics.
Okay.
The regeneration principle.
Look at that brain.
Sorry?
You've blown my mind about number 7 now.
Yeah,
number
cool.
8.
We like the number 7 right here. So within that bird, which is Aquila, again, it's the bird of Jupiter. Aquila is a constellation of the stars next to Cygnus, everybody. I know you know this stuff. But it's the bird form again, which is essentially is the mushroom form. And if it's coming for the liver, you see the future through the liver. They used to read the liver. They cut it up and read the future from it, from all the occlusions in there. I had another good point, which I forgot, but it was something to do with drugs. It's drugs, basically. It's the shamanic practices that are, that would rebirth you, that do rebirth you when you've achieved henosis, which is the Greek word for the enlightenment of oneness that you get in Buddhism. You naturally have to return from that and come back into your body. Well, absolutely, it's a rebirth. It feels like a rebirth. You feel like you come back into your body and you're like, whoa, I'm alive. I'm that spring lamb again. It's wonderful. Oh, so we're talking about Sagittarius. He's the drug man. He's the drug dealer. That arrow he's like a Scythian archer. There was that archetype of the satyr finds its root in Scythia and the Scythian, like the Amazonian women on horseback with one boom out and fight. Even though it's probably kind of story, but a symbol. Those arrows had poison tips on them that were the same. They were a slightly more fetid version, as in like they put all kinds of horrible things in the ground and let it ferment along with the poison. But sans those things, that was the same poison. That was the same stuff as they used for the shamanic journeying, often called purple. Probably ergot, possibly the purple shellfish, which is the mollusk called.
Oh yeah, the one that makes the purple dye.
Yeah, the purple dye. We call it Tyrian purple. Is it something purpurea?
It could be. I can't.
Tyrian purple mollusk. Murex, the Murex snail.
Okay.
So I know from studying that purple was often called the burning purple. You put it onto your eyes. It was part of the christening ritual. Really, the word Christ comes from the word chrism, which means it's oil, basically. They put the drugs in olive oil and a few fats and things like that, and they'd rub it on your eyes. In Mithraism, they put a drug in there called kentritis, which would make you have these visions. In Christianity, it was similar, in early Christianity. But there's a benzene alkaloid in the mollusk purple stuff. So it seems as if it like burned away cancers and sores and things like that. So it would have a medical quality to it, but it was also a basis for a lot of the potions and things like that they were making, and seems to be absolutely central to the mantic arts of the oracles and such, and certainly the Orphic religions like the cult of Dionysus and things like that. Hercules finds it with his doggy. His little doggy finds it on a beach and he goes, "Oh, look at this purple stuff," and you read all around it. It's like, it's the burning purple, one of the mystery drugs. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So that was on the end of our similar things. We're on the end of his arrow tip.
His arrow.
And being a drunkard and being known to be a drunkard, the satyr and the centaurs particularly, they were, they're half a beast and half a man. So along with these shamanic things, and these are Jupiterian animals, and let's not forget Jupiter's rapacious ardor, that, sex is involved with this stuff. Sex is absolutely integral to these ancient mysteries. A lot of them contain orgasms as part of the ritual. The Murex snail itself inflates a man and keeps it going. It can keep it going for a long time. So these were all... There was a theatre to it all, and there were these temple priestesses. We know what they were doing. So there you go. So all that's wrapped up just in that character.
Okay.
And so that's access to the higher mind. That's access to the mind states where only the archetypes are operating. And believe me, when you get into those mind states, the only thing that are operating are autonomous versions of those archetypes doing work. It's hard to explain unless you've been there, but you kind of know a snippet of it in dreams. Those are the archetypes doing work, but they're giving you symbols as well. This far down, they're just doing the work. It's almost like in a computer, the chips have a machine code. That then gets translated by your software, which gives it a second layer of language. Well, we're reading the machine code down in those, areas of consciousness. We are literally swimming in the unconscious, and it's pretty much unfathomable. I've had thoughts that scared the fucking life out of me because I just couldn't comprehend them. Like, how is that even a thought? Things that you wouldn't think your mind could conjure, modalities of thought that were the very essence of it was nothing like a thought that you've ever had. It being at times almost a physical, like the thought I had in my brain manifested within there, and I was actually looking at. I can't explain it. It's ineffable. You'd have to go and find a shaman or a suitable field in the autumn.
So you said that communication is the strong point of Gemini.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What would be the constellation or the zodiac for the ineffable? Is there a duality there?
This is the opposite side of the zodiac. It's a Gemini. And when I come across Sagittarians, they often don't like me. I've had quite they make themselves my enemy. I'm not bothered. I think they're dicks because they don't like me.
Okay, sorry, anyone Sagittarius watching this.
Yeah, no, I mean just the ones I've known that hey, look, it's just the truth. I've had a couple of them, maybe even 4, and they're just like they're horrible to me. They're known to be horrible, angry. They're fire. They are mutable fire, which means that that arrow that they've got, they're just kind of going toing, 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 toing. They're drunk. They're drunk on power a little bit. They have particular difficulty stabilizing the horse against the person. But when they do it, because they're dealing with the archetypes themselves and the higher mind, they are geniuses. They are like, if there's a really smart person in that zodiac, it's the philosopher of Sagittarius.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the teacher. He even taught Jupiter, as we were saying before, and Dionysus and all these other characters. Prometheus. Oh, Prometheus means foresight. That's what I was getting at. Prometheus means foresight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes.
So the reading of the liver and the changing of consciousness and the coming back round again and the access to the higher mind. If he's stolen it, he's surely stolen it from Jupiter. That fire, which is the higher mind. And fire is the first archetype.
So that
fire is the archetype of the sun.
That would be like some kind of analogy to accessing the divine mind, or thoughts that are less based than our usual ones, or
well, Jupiter has no foresight. Okay. It's just the weather. It's just the reaction. It's known that he was jealous of Prometheus because he had foresight. Prometheus's brother is called something like hindsight and like lack of ability to see the future or something like that. You know, the kind of his antithesis again. Again, these things come round. Really, Prometheus is Lucifer.
Yeah.
The original Lucifer and like especially the French conception, more modern conception of Lucifer is much more nuanced and much more, hang on a minute, is Gnostic, basically. It's more looking at God as a bit of a demiurge and like, you made disease, you utter bastard. Why did that child die of cancer? You're a bit of a, you know what I mean? Why are you putting in as you love us, but you're putting us in this position? That kind of concept. And that live deliciously concept as well, which would be quite functional in this area of the zodiac. It would be between Sagittarius and Capricorn. This live deliciously, you know, like take it further than you might, and you know, be decadent and be kinky, be, you know what I mean. But then you start getting to Marquis de Sade territory, and then it goes too far. Far too far. Right. And then, so on the other side of that, this higher mind principle, bearing in mind that these archetypes, what are the archetypes? To the ancient conception, the archetypes are the ratios between the numbers, i.e. the gaps between the numbers manifest. We could call it geometry. The gaps between the number 7 make a 7-sided shape, for example. So there's always these ratios between. That imbues the cosmos with the foundations in these archetypes. 1's a thing, 2's a thing, duality. 1's singularity, the subject. 2 would be the object. 3 would be the system of the subject and the object. 4 would be that cycle repeating itself. 5 would be, you know, all these things have characteristics. Quantity, I sent this to you the other day. Quantity imbues quality by that definition. Sevenness is a different quality to eightness. We know that from the geometry. Seven-sided shape does different things to eight. So those are the archetypes. So what is the human soul, which is what Pisces is getting at? There's two halves of it. There's a half that swims upwards and a half that goes off in its own direction. Well, one's the cosmic higher mind soul and one's your own soul. One's Mercurial and one's Jupiterian. One's Jesus and one's Lucifer. By that same conception of Lucifer that we were just discussing. My own, I will do what I want to do. Those quantities imbuing qualities in quantity are the soul, the human soul. Because your taste, the human soul is essentially taste, isn't it? It's your tastes, what you like, what activates you, what are your preferences. So it's those qualities in certain quantities in your body. That's what the soul is. It's the higher mind in proportions. You get 50, you're getting 5 points. It's like top trumps, isn't it? You get 5 points fire, 4 points water, 3 points air, and 5 points earth. And that's your character. You know, in top trumps, it was like speed 50. I'm thinking of racing cars or dinosaurs. You know, bite strength 100. Yeah, I got the T-Rex, and you know, T-Rex wins every time. Well, that's the soul. You know, those are your stats. What makes you up? And it's quantities make qualities. Those qualities in quantities are your soul. And the opposite for the universal soul. The universal soul is those qualities. The universal soul is all the archetypes at all times. Jung called it the collective unconscious. However, that's him shielding himself from criticism. He meant what I'm expressing. He meant these archetypes. All Jung's work is occultism, essentially. All Jung's work is this stuff. It's just a fantastic understanding of it. So, yeah. So there you go. There's Jupiter. The two sides of Jupiter being, you know, the fact of the higher mind within you, and contact with that higher mind is called the daimon, is called the Holy Spirit, is called the higher self. It's the higher mind. It's these archetypes. And the other side of it is the teacher part of it, which knows how to do alchemy with the. And what is the alchemy card in tarot? If you say any of those cards look like someone's doing alchemy in the tarot, you would say it's temperance.
Mm-hmm.
The temperance card is Sagittarius. Yeah, they're doing that, tempering the wine. Yeah, pouring water in. I mean, there's many analogies for it, but that's the idea on the early ones. You're pouring water into wine to temper the hard wine into something more drinkable. But again, we've got that hard wine consideration. Hard wine didn't necessarily just contain alcohol. In fact, at the good ceremonies, it didn't contain just alcohol at all. It would have the purple mollusk in there. It would have cannabis dissolved in there. It would have ergot in there naturally growing on wheat grain and things like that. Because they weren't making beer, but you see in the recipes, grain's always a part of it. It's grape and grain. Those are the mystery. They survive into the mystery of the Christians, the grape and the grain, the bread and the wine. Those are the two main, and they're both drugs. You want ergot growing off the grain, and this is still a part of masonry as well. They still do the grape and the grain thing in masonry.
Do they?
Harking back to the Greeks, though, not to the Christians. So we got the last one, Saturn.
Yes.
Saturn being the contraction, the first contraction, whereas Jupiter would be expansion and order, and like he is the constructor, creator god, like Yahweh is, and Jehovah, or whatever you want to call the Christian god. They're these creator gods because basically they're taking those archetypes and like the way they're putting them together in certain order, and that builds the world. So they are the creator god. You see, for Yahweh, it was a fiery mountain, a pillar of fire in the day and a pillar of smoke at night. Well, that's a volcano. That's a volcano, and he's often associated with sulfur and which is brimstone and fire and the forge and things like that. Well, it's because you find a lot of heavy metals around volcanoes because they've been churned up there, and so this is the creator god. And to do with meteors as well, often said to be to do with meteors. Well, you find iron and nickel and cobalt and actual refinable versions of heavy metals for ancients to use. Most iron used by the ancients was from meteors because they were unable to get enough of it together and get it hot enough and refine it from pig iron.
Normal fire,
it takes high invention, whereas it's already together in a lot of meteors. They'd use it for samurai swords. Tamahagane, it was called, because it already has the carbon in there. It's pretty much steel already.
Okay.
So Saturn is kind of chaos on one side. Is actually the first contraction against chaos, associated with chaos because chaos is beyond him. He would be like the skin, the limit of things, the first thing coming in and the last thing going out. Alpha and Omega, often called time. He's a time god. Also, whereas Jupiter's kind of fortune and things like that, because you're building up, Saturn's pulling apart, Saturn's old age and death and things like that. He's the contraction. Jupiter's the expansion from these base principles into the world. Saturn's the contraction. He's the really clever god. Like Jupiter knows so much because he is those principles, but Saturn's actually outside looking in a little bit. He's the skin on the system. So, and because he can see outside and inside, he's the old wizard, often symbolized by a black cube for many reasons, many reasons. Some of them fantastic, like the interior angles add up to 2160. That'll take you down a whole fantastic rabbit hole. But it's because he is Morpheus, and he holds that battery up and says, Neo, you're a battery. And that's because if you're in any system, let's say it's a doctrine in a church, you are under that doctrine. I know I've written the doctrine, so I'm outside the doctrine. I'm outside the black cube that I've got you enslaved in. And anything in that cube, I can manipulate to produce power. The battery, the collection plate at church, for example.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of an idea. Give me all the money out your pockets, because you know the Lord be poor. And it's about money, because you see them in the flash car. The Vatican's pretty sick, isn't it? Like Jesus the pauper, poor knights of Christ, and all these surrounding. And then you go over and there's gold and decadence and not nice. So this Saturn is the contracting principle. He's the bump in the road. He's the ultimate terrible end that you've got. But by that end, and only at the end of something, can you harvest it. So that's why death has a scythe. You've got to kill the old thing.
Makes sense.
You've got to kill the old thing and get the new. Really, that scythe is the plough going around the pole star, cutting down the cycle of the year.
Okay, consider that number 8 or number 9. I can't remember where we are.
Is that again another one?
Yeah, you got another one.
Let's just say 7, just to give it that number.
We'll go with 7. 7 and
another 7. We'll have 7 sevens. So now we have as the two opposite sides of that. So what I wanted to say to get onto this, my apologies, is that Saturn's that last planet. Is at once the pole and the pole star, but it's that last planet, and he takes the longest to go round.
Yeah.
He's the school of hard knocks. He's, oh no, that went wrong, learn from it. That went wrong, learn from it. That went wrong, learn from it. I've been round. Oh, I've seen what the area looks like, and I have a perspective again outside that box. I've seen the whole of the cycle. I've seen the whole of the system, and now I can make judgments based on my experience. And unfortunately, humans are experiential learners. You can tell somebody a million times, but until you can say until, but even sometimes when they face the hard fact of life, they'll still keep on doing the same stupid thing. However, not our Saturn. He's gone around now. He is the wizard. He's the old dude with he knows his stuff. In Babylon Sumeria, he was Enki. Enki's the one that always helps everybody out.
Right.
He's the old king. He's not got really anything to lose. He's already lost. So now we go to Capricorn and Aquarius. So on one side, we've got Capricorn, who is the end of the year, terminus.
Yeah.
You know, the Christmas 21st of December, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, the sun doesn't move at all in the sky. Or it doesn't appear to move. It kind of goes stationary for those 3 days and then starts to move again. So the sun dies on the 21st, goes to hell for 3 days, or doesn't move, stays stationary for 3 days, and then starts moving again after 3 days, just like the story of Jesus, just like the story of lots of these dying and resurrecting gods. Well, that's the real end of the year. And then we've got to go back up again, because if you take a picture of the sun every day in the same spot, you'll see it makes what's called a lemniscate, which is like an elongated infinity sign, and like a number 8 stretched out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that climb that it's got to make, that kind of half helix, that almost like a serpent going up the caduceus, that half helix, it's got to make that journey. Hence, as we said a moment ago, the fish tail, because it starts in the depths of the sea. The sun in winter is seen to splosh into the water, like at the end of the day, if you won't live in the coast, the sun goes under the water, like that. And then it's got to start from that fishy beginning and then climb to the very top of the zodiac, which will be at that cusp between Gemini and Cancer again on the 21st of June.
Yeah, yeah.
So there we go. So that's the human as well. In a bad situation, in the winter of your life, you might have to do these things. You might have to. The goat devours. We know goats eat everything. They're famous for eating clothes and metal, and you know they can devour. It's at the opposite side of Cancer, which is also one of these devourers. It's fixed Earth. No, is it fixed Earth? Mutual Earth? Cardinal Earth is Capricorn. Cardinal is that get up and go. It's the spark that ignites the fire. It's that first condition that causes the effect.
Yeah.
So it's that Saturnian cloud over you. It's raining now. It's freezing. It's the middle of winter. It's all horrible. It's the I will not. I will not die with the night. You know what I mean? It's let's
rage against the dying of the day.
Yes, we must climb that mountain again. It is going to be hard. I'm going to have to be stubborn like a goat, and get up there. And goats hang around in trees and all sorts. The strange animals. When you meet goats, they want to climb on you to a certain dominance, or sometimes be friends with you and play. But yeah. So that is realization of Saturn taken alchemically. Now, Saturn is associated with the prima materia, which is the shit in your life that you must alchemize, rarefy, refine, and cause, transmute into a willpower to get you to go again.
Yeah.
And so he's learned these things. Capricorn is almost realizing Saturn. Uses his motto, uses the shite, and I will use that word shite over shit, the shite in your life, and get back to the top again. And it's his realization that he's so low that gets him back up. hence this school of hard knocks. Aquarius is the bearer of these things. So Aquarius's motto is I know. And it's an air sign. It's not a water sign, it's an air sign. And it's fixed at air.
Really? Aquarius?
Yeah.
Seven.
He bears the water. He's not the water. He bears the water. As Noah, he's the man in the water vessel. So the water's on the outside. Okay. As Aquarius is the water's something he's carrying. He's a missionary. What are the waters? The waters of this art. The waters of the mantic arts. The waters are basically the understanding of all those archetypes and all this work. The ability, the kind of shamanic side of it, condensed into like a religious fundamentalism, and then or a drug or whatever might be in that water.
Yeah.
It basically, it's water is a mind. Water's a mind, like the contents of memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there you go. That's in the water. Then he takes it out and burns it. And normally water bearers aren't men. They were women. Hebe was the original cupbearer. She was a female. And then Zeus goes, oh, there's that young man there. So beautiful is he that I'm going to take him up and have him as my cupbearer. So there's obviously a sexual element to this, and a pederast, and things function differently in those days. You know, he would have been a guide to him as well. Eventually he gets annoyed with it and throws a tantrum and knocks the water vessels of ambrosia over, the ambrosial nectar that the gods drink, that turn the blood to ichor. Basically, it makes them immortal. What do these drugs do? And this is such a wonderful understanding that I've never seen come from anybody else, and that is the meaning of mortal and immortal. It doesn't mean alive or a god. It means subject or not subject to time. The gods are not subject to time. Those archetypes are immortal. When you have hypnosis, when you do these shamanic things, the last thing that goes, the penultimate thing that goes, is time, your concept of time. You often hear about people doing crazy substances that time went, I got caught up in the loop, I thought I'd be there forever. Well, that's the last vestige of your ego, because time's already gone. Your ego will go next. So that's what are the waters? It's knowledge of the archetypes, knowledge of the shamanic processes to climb this ladder, to get to that pole star at the top, and to enter into that imperial realm where there is no time. All things happen all at once. And then you get to the oracle, the oracular stuff, or be a prophet, or in the Bible, it said, I will give you eternal life. Where is in the actual the Greek translation, it's not eternal life, it's ionic life. Who is Ion? Ion's the timeless god, the gatekeeper. He's kind of a Saturnian character that sits on the edge of the abyss between here and the immortal realm, where time doesn't exist. And having been there myself, time doesn't exist there. All things happen all at once.
Reminds me a little bit of negative theology, because you can't say that God exists because he's not within the confines of the material world. You know, that's the whole purpose of having this concept, you know, that the existence, the concept of existence is already stuck in the world of the material and in the world of time. So you have to go beyond it. So you can't talk about God's existence. It doesn't make any sense.
So, yes. And that's quite Christian as well.
No, that's totally Christian. That's a medieval concept.
Yeah, wasn't it? What's his name? Augustine. What's his name?
It could be Augustine. It could be Aquinas. I can't remember who came up with it. I actually have an Aquinas book here. I wonder. It doesn't matter.
So, what were we just saying, Melissa?
Oh, sorry. Beyond time, and then you were gonna. Do you want me to put the ladder back up, and then you can?
It's all right. I think people got it in there by now. If they can't see it, go and look it up online. You know, it's a fantastic mandala, really. for
for
knowledge.
something
Look how long we've been
to-
talking about it now. You can honestly do an episode on each of these functions quite easily. Break it up. No, we're not doing that, Melissa. So Aquarius is, I know. So because Saturn has done the loop, he's the old man, he's written it down. And he hands it over. And it's in certain things. It's in stone. You turn up to a church, the knowledge is in the stone. Saturn is kind of a Stone Age god, is a Stone Age god. He's a Titan. He's the old king. He was deposed. He's the previous generation. He's the old man knowledge. He's the wizard. So Aquarius bears that knowledge in the water. He bears those memories. He gives it out. That knowledge comes in many forms. There's shamans talk about the knowledge of the plant. And there is a knowledge in that plant. You can learn things from observing the lion. You can eat the lion. You can eat the plant. The plant might do things to you. There is knowledge in that plant.
So basically this structure that you could say has been overlaid onto a natural system with the stars and the sun, the moon, and the other 5 traditional planets. This structure is so sophisticated. It's very simple, like you said. There's the ladder and there's the circle, and there are these correspondences and dualities. But it says so much. It's so profound.
So profound. It's like, I think you said it perfectly, that it's simplex. It's complexity arising from these simple things. And E equals mc squared is a simplex formula. So is this. It's just taking a different form. Those are symbols. They might be algebraic symbols, but those are symbols that stand for something else. E is energy, matter, speed of light squared. Here we have higher mind, things that they knew about. Your mind, the connection of the mind, the learning. We've got need, we've got want, we've got it. It's all there.
So it is like an equation. It's almost like a theory of everything.
It's a formula, yeah. And as we were saying, from that timeless place to here, the whole thing is, and having experienced it myself, and it being my personal enlightenment, that the order of movement from that infinite realm into time, through the zodiac, through the planets, is an analogy for the formation of your own consciousness. And I know that to be true because I witnessed the formation of my own consciousness when I came back from that timeless realm, which you could just consider to be the deepest meditation you could go. That's as deep as you can get. There's no I, there's no time, there's no anything. And then when things slowly come back, you're able to notice those things because you're swimming in them. I was only me when my ego came back, but there was no time. Then when time came back, there was a me and time, and I'm not, and then as soon as time came back, it was like, there's a here and a there. There's a me and a not me. And then I'm putting the universe together, and then, months later, when I'm still considering this stuff and getting into the download, which was essentially, I've got to look into the occult and all these things that I thought was silly at the time, they are an exact reflection of everything that happened.
Amazing. Well, Ryan, we're coming up to 2 hours, so should we leave it on that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Can I have another cup of tea?
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye, Melissa.